Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unpicked, your unofficial sewing bee companion show. There's Ting there raring to go for week 6. But as always, before we do that, we just have a sneak look back at what happened last week. The most controversial most controversial round ever. But before we get onto that, Ting, a few nice fun comments. Janice says, just thought you would like to know transformation challenges have actually won Garment of the Week in Series 4, Episode 7, and Series 6, Episode 9.
They have, and I didn't agree with it then either.
We've got our own researcher now, Ting. We've got a little team building up. And we sadly had to say goodbye to Tim last week, who appeared in the comments.
Oh,
Tim,
did he?
Tim so-and-sos. I have loved listening to you both debate the series so far. Honest, respectful, and filled with love of the craft, and really funny. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Well,
Isn't that
thank you,
nice,
Tim.
eh?
Yeah, I must admit I didn't because I'm now 5 weeks into the summer holidays. I don't even know what day it is. So this week I didn't really. I forgot to look at I think I looked at the comments on Sunday, and then I haven't been back to them this week. I've
Oh,
just completely forgotten
well, there are
what's
absolutely
gone on.
loads. We're going to come on to those in a minute.
Well, were they all about how you cut the show short?
No,
Because
no
your
one's.
face when you said to me after we stopped, you went, "Oh my God, we didn't do Garment of the Week." I was like, "Well, that's your fault."
I don't know. No one commented on that at all. They were too busy commenting about the most controversial round ever, which we'll get to.
Okay.
SJ says, well, if they all used the same fabric in the pattern challenge, then they could have that mad dash to the haberdashery, and all of the non-UK folks love to say haberdashery. So that's a good reason to leave it as is. Smiley face, haberdashery. We love it. Love it. What?
I mean, we'll get. I'm sure we'll discuss it in a moment, but this week showed why it was important to have different fabric when they
Yeah.
made the choices with the tutus. And I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm saying that's one way you could standardize it. If the judging is going to be so inconsistent,
Yeah.
if the judging was more consistent, then you could include color choice as part of it.
And the last one before we move on to the debate was from Jane. For the first time ever, I threw a slipper at Ting. Well,
Now, I did see this one, but I never saw the reason why.
well, there was no reason. I did reply to you, Janet. Janet, if you could let us know, I would like to know what aspect it was. Was it just in general?
Was it because I fell asleep? Because this week I stayed awake for the whole episode, which was very cool.
So, was it the most controversial round ever? I had a quick look and I totaled up the comments and I've just took a summary for it here. So it was all about the idea of putting them into pairs. And we had a good debate about it. It has 15 to 18 comments were against the pairs. And only 4 or 5 were in favour of. And there's a little selection. So Elise at the top there against says, I threw a flip-flop at the couples challenge for all the reasons you said. Nikki says, yeah, slippers galore, they were all justified. The transformation challenge was just rubbish. And then Susan says,
It's
I'm
a
hurling a
Converse
Converse All-Star.
All-Star.
I know. That silly 2-person challenge seems they're copying Project Runway. And then the 4 to 5 comments in favour or neutral. Kathy says, controversial, I know, but I liked the pairs challenge. It was interesting to watch people working together and making something coherent. Or not. Portia says, I don't mind the team challenge, but it's ridiculous that they had to use the surfing material. And Nitty Natter says, I don't mind the transformation challenge pairing as put a different spin on the challenge. And I think we sort of had all those conversations, didn't we, about that pair work challenge. It was lovely reading your comments about it. Do you want to see it again next year, Ting?
I'm gonna say no, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? That'll be in there because they've done it now.
Yeah. We don't want to see it
I think
anymore, though.
Well, no, I think, like we tried to get across, like if we're put into a pair and I'm the better sewer, I might feel I'm being held back or that I'm doing all the work. And if we're put into a pair and I feel that I'm the worst sewer out of the two, then I might feel I'm out of my depth and don't think I can match it and feel I've let someone down. And I don't think you need that added pressure with everything else
Yeah.
that was here because it doesn't really work for whichever one you are.
Yeah. And let's not forget this. These bees have been watching the sewing bee probably for years and years. Though saying that, did you know Lewis, who we lost a couple of weeks ago, he had never watched the sewing bee? Did you know that? I
Well,
know. In this day
but
and
you don't
age,
have to watch it, do you? You could still sew and not watch it.
well, yeah, but you think you'd know about it, and then if you're going to go on to a TV show, you would perhaps research it or something. So I was amazed. So these sewers know what it's about. So when this pair challenge came out of the blue, they must have been like, "Oh, what? What
It
is
would
that?
have
What I
thrown them a
signed
bit
up
as well.
for?"
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Who's left? So we had to say goodbye to Tim. Our Suffolk boy is out, so we're now down to the 7 left there as we go into Children's Week, which we all know you love, Ting, don't you, as a teacher?
Just spent 5 weeks trying to get away from them. The last thing I did is be reminded of them.
And the pattern challenge, they had to make a classic tutu. Spandex and stiff nylon netting. We've had a few fancy dress costume in the, well, not in a tutu, but in the netting for sure. I quite like this challenge. I thought this was something that a lot of children will probably wear at some point. And the animation thing, was it me or did that go on for a very, 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 very long time?
It certainly seemed very overwhelming, and I think sometimes, especially if you're not really a sewer, perhaps you're a crafter and you're watching this program and you might know a little bit, but you'd look at that and go, "Oh, that's quite easy to make. I don't know what all the fuss is about." But when you saw the number of steps that were
Yeah.
involved, then I think you have to appreciate what they were able to do.
Yeah, I was marveling at the edit for Sophie because she had to talk so much. It was almost like the terms and conditions on a TV ad where they go because they'd edited all her gaps out, so it was just one long. I was like, wow, this is huge, so huge. They had extra time, so they had 4 hours for this challenge. Let's take a look at the results. And the results were very, very good. There were only a few that had a couple of the layers upside down, which they kind of foreshadowed at the beginning, hadn't they? Making sure they got the netting layers up down, but
Yeah.
up the right way up. But there they all are. That was our final rank order there, and
I think,
came across as in the edit. It was what we'd seen, wasn't it?
yes, I do. I think, and I mean, I know it's Children's Week, but the size of this garment was what was the issue because I could see when they came to sew the netting on and then sew the top to the bottom, they didn't have enough room to get it over the machine.
Yeah.
Like normally, you'd take the little toolbox off and you'd have it over the arm of the machine so you could spin it around. There still wasn't really, with all the netting and everything
No.
else, there wasn't enough to do that. That probably why they needed the extra time because you had to almost try and sew it flat without sewing it together to the other side. That was quite complicated in itself. Um, so it needed to almost, you almost wanted to do it for the next size up child to give
Yeah.
them a bit of space
Yeah.
to be able to do it.
Because
Um,
that netting bit was incredibly hard, and we saw them struggle with that. Yet, Beth, as I said to you, she was hardly in the edit at all, and every time they did cut to her, she was just calm, collective. I just said to you, she's breezing through. She wasn't, and then it was clear when she came first.
yeah, yeah. I have to say a few things about the whole challenge anyway.
Go on.
I have to say, I'm getting sick and tired of knickers having the elastic put in. It
Yes.
seems to be we're on the third make that required elastic to go round the leg of a pair of pants. And it's just like that's the same skill for all of these. I know the fabrics have been slightly different, but we've actually made pants. We had this, then we had another one where it required the elastic
Yeah,
to be
in the
sewn. I can't
shorts,
remember
the
what that
swim
was.
shorts. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was just like
that's interesting.
it just seems like a lot that we've seen. It's gone boom, boom, boom. I mean, if they'd have spaced it out a bit, maybe I wouldn't have noticed it a bit much.
Yes.
But
Good
the
point.
same instruction of like, oh, you've got to put elastic into the legs. I'm like, well, these should have been perfect. This is like the 300th time they've probably done it.
It is
Um,
true. And I think
and
Rebecca did comment on that, didn't she? We've done the pants already. So this is, yeah,
yeah, it
easier.
just, yeah, and it was just then, is that the right challenge to do? I loved the challenge as a standalone challenge, but maybe having already done pants and swim shorts, that this was a step too far.
Yes.
Um, I mentioned earlier there obviously was an element of color choice here to make it, kind of suitable. I don't know if
Yes.
that's the right word. Um, and when we were talking about it last week about should we have the same material and everything else like that, it depends what you're wanting to do. Because if you're wanting to judge the sewing, then everyone should have the same, and then you can look at the sewing. But a big part of sewing is your ability to understand color
Yeah,
and not look
absolutely.
like a bruise and
Yeah.
that you've got dressed in the dark. So there is an element of you get people's personalities and everything else shining through when you allow them to choose their own colors and everything that they want like
Yes.
that. And also, I've said in the past, you can tell with the different levels of experience, because somebody who's been sewing for quite a while understands the weight of fabric and the stretch and everything
Yeah.
like that, so they might choose something that's slightly more appropriate than somebody who just goes, oh, that's shiny, and decides to use that material, and then
And then
it all
it just,
gets
yeah,
slippy and
messy.
everything else like that. So there is a place to do that, and obviously we saw some great choices here. The black of Beth's, which they made the reference to the black swan as well. That was a different choice because most children wouldn't probably choose black. You had the great complementary colours of Anna's there, which I
Yeah.
thought, oh, they've gone.
That's right. I'm gonna get the big one. There you go.
Okay, well now I can't see the others.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought I was being clever. Go on. That's
I
it.
was
There you go.
working my way through.
Oh, God.
Anna's
Yeah.
was good. I loved Minnie's color combination, very classical like that. I thought it was good the way Rebecca picked out the red to help tie
It
that
was
together. But then
lovely.
when you look at it there, I don't know if that really works from afar.
Oh, I think it
Um,
does. I think it
well, I
does.
don't know,
Yeah.
because I don't know if I like the rest of the material. I think if it had all tulips, I think they were tulips, all over it, then I think it might have helped, or if it was like a
Okay.
polka dotty. Whereas Heather's, that did seem to work the way she'd picked out the deep blue and that.
Yes.
So you're starting to get that. Now, and I'm sorry, because this now, I know we don't tend to
No.
attack the sewers,
No.
but from the text message I sent you that Emma yet again has chosen blue,
Yeah.
turquoise, and pink. And my only criticism of that is I'm getting sick and tired of it. Show me versatility. Every garment she's making is pink and turquoise,
Yes.
and it's one note. And it doesn't matter how good your sewing is, because I'm now just frustrated that you're not choosing different
Uh,
colors and showing your range. And that's the criticism there, really. You might
yes.
like it, but this is, if you were sewing, because I think they get a deal here, don't they? That's also part of what they win as help. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. No, I think they just win, don't they? I'm
They just
confusing it with
win.
another show.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're designing for other people, you should be able to work with other fabrics
Yeah.
and other designs and things like that. And I'm just getting bored of turquoise and
Well,
blue, to be
I
fair.
would just be in my position if I was on the show and I was getting to week 4, week 5. I think I would be beginning to stress about what I want people to see me make. So I think I would be making those decisions. I've got to choose a different color. I've got to do something different, because I'd be conscious of that. A bit like we had, I can't remember her name, 4 or 5 years ago. She always did the 90s outfit, so
Yeah.
90s style. And at first, the week 2 and week 3, that was great. But when it got to week 5 and week 6 and still doing it, we were kind of joking about it, not another 90s make. But I, I suppose if you like that, then two fingers
It's
up to everyone
difficult.
else. You do what you like.
And it is, and we've
Yeah.
said that before. Like especially when it comes to like the transformation challenge, you probably make the things you're most used to making.
Yeah.
Whether that's skirts, trousers, or whatever. And I do get that.
Yeah.
But if you look at Heather's one there, where she made an active decision to choose the pale blue from one of the blue squiggles,
Yes.
and then the dark blue from another one of the squiggles,
Yeah.
and it had a lovely palish,
I
pinkish
got to get the close
backgrounds
up
that all
of
the squiggles
Heather's.
were on.
Yeah.
That's where you can get that little bit of extra for choosing the right thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Emma's were complimentary, but that's because we've seen it every week.
That is true.
We know the pink and the turquoise go together because we've seen it every week. But the other one, there was actually conscious decision. Heather was making conscious. She didn't just grab randomly. She actually said, "I've got this blue because it's this blue here, and I've got this blue because it's the
Yeah.
other blue in the top." And to me, she deserved to come slightly higher for
Yeah.
that reason because she's showing that she's got some design skill within it, even though you're all got the same pattern.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And actually, then hearing that methodology from the sewer, you can then understand their thought processes
Yeah.
and what they were trying to achieve too. A couple of years ago, we used to have the 11-minute call of whether we could tell in the edit of who was going. Well, it's back, everyone. And I think Ting smashed the 11 minutes and it's now gone to 8 minutes.
Eight.
Come on, tell everyone.
Well, no, I don't know. I I just went straight away. At 8 minutes, there'd been some editing,
Yeah,
and she seemed to. I'm not saying the name, but she seemed to be struggling.
yeah,
And I just went to you. She's going home.
yeah.
It'll be her this week. And you were like, no, it won't. No, it won't. It's
That's
too early.
right.
It's too early. And you were actually saying, oh, I think someone else was having more trouble because by then somebody had sewn their net on upside down, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that'll be worse. That'll be worse and everything like that. And I didn't mean it in a malicious way. I just went, I think from the edit,
Oh,
it's going
absolutely.
to be
Yeah,
her.
yeah. But that's what everyone does. It's what
And I, to be fair,
it's
to be fair,
go on.
I panicked halfway through because I was like, oh, perhaps I went too soon, but I ended up getting it
But
right.
it's TV. It's what people do on Gogglebox. They're always talking and chatting, and they're going, "Oh yeah, it's
I
going to
think
be
that
him. It's going to be her." Well, I said to
I think it
you,
was more luck than judgment. I think.
because, and it's all down to the edit. And the editors don't just edit a show together. They tie
Create
in
the show. They
storylines.
create the show.
They
Yeah.
push you a certain way if they want a twist at the end. So I said to you, "Oh my God, it's going to be Rebecca," because she was getting a lot of the edit in that first round. Like, oh, she's getting exposure. There's going to be something that's going to go wrong because they're putting her in the edit. That's why I said to you, Beth has probably come first because they don't want to show that just yet because it's so obvious. So let's manipulate a storyline. So I was panicking that it was going to be Rebecca, but hey, there we go. 8 minutes,
See,
viewers.
so I am a little bit cynical because Minnie has struggled the last couple of weeks, and then she didn't get a lot of edit in this challenge
No,
because I
no.
think it was the only bit that she was in was
Yeah,
the bit that I saw. But I took one look at that and went, well, I know what they'll do
yeah,
because as much as you want them to be focused on this week, the judges know what's happened every other week before, and I just felt that yeah, they've probably gone, well, she struggled the last couple of
yeah,
weeks.
yeah,
And that's not fair on her because it should be judged on a week by week basis. But we've also said that these are all pretty good
yeah,
sewers, they're from the off. So you only need to have a bit of a bad week. But I think it was more luck than
yeah.
judgment. I just
Well,
got lucky, I think.
that top three, I
If I
think
do it next week, well, maybe.
I think Beth was like up here, and Anna and Rebecca second and third. There was a big gap between Beth and then Anna and Rebecca. From listening to what Patrick was saying, so yes, you got Beth first, Anna and Rebecca second and third, and then you can see the rest of the rank order there with Adele then bottom. So we then move into the transformation challenge, and they had to make. Out of fleece, everyone. They had to reuse the fleece because we've talked about this before. Nylon fleece is not very recyclable. I actually don't think they can do it, or they say it's hard to recycle. So the idea was to create a stuffed toy from this fleece, reuse it, and it had to be an animal. They were allowed one fleece each, viewers, like on the mannequin there. And the main rule was the judges had to be able to recognize the animal. I actually really loved this challenge. I just thought that's really simple. One fleece, make a stuffed toy, it's got to be recognizable. Boom. What did you think? Or did you fall asleep?
I mean, no, I didn't fall asleep. I did like, because I thought it was a different concept, and this is the sewing bee. I'm not saying that next week we should be making a pair of curtains, but everything has always been garments, and there are other types of sewing. I would say, having made teddy bears, that if you want to do it properly, it is not a quick and easy thing
No.
to do. The other thing I was slightly concerned about, because I don't own a fleece like this. And the reason I don't own a fleece like this is because when I wear one, it turns into an electric shock
Oh, yes.
waiting to happen.
Static
And so
everywhere.
all I could think about were these poor babies in the cot who are going to grab hold of this and then fly out because it's full of electricity. I was just like, it's going to be
Yeah, indeed.
everywhere.
Well, they're little few strands of hair.
Just straight up.
Oh,
But I liked the fact the brief was very. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that it was the transformation challenge, that it was 90 minutes,
yeah.
because I think they get away with a lot of pinning on those mannequins. So they drape a lot of the fact, because they only have 90 minutes. So they don't sew it into a fully wearable garment within 90 minutes. Some of it's sewn together, and I think some of it's pinned together. I don't want to ruin the surprise too much. But with this, it had to be finished.
Yeah.
So you did have to go
Yeah.
through the machine. And it's just like, yeah, they all looked a little wonky in places, didn't
Yes,
they, as
they
a
did.
result of that?
Well,
And I just felt that it would have been nice to, but then I think if you'd done it as a pattern challenge, it would have taken you 3 days, because I
yeah,
think that's how long it took me to
absolutely.
make a proper one.
Now,
But it was nice to see something different.
you're standing there now looking at those two judges and seeing that fleece stuffed toy. You know they're going to go, and your time starts now, and you've got to run off to grab your fleece. What animal are you thinking of? Surely you're thinking, what is going to be the easiest to make? And then Anno then goes and thinks an octopus with 8 legs. What would you think to do?
I think that a lot of it would depend on the color of the fleece, because you can't easily get away. I mean, you can do, because it's a kid's thing, I suppose. You could have turned that pink one there into an elephant or whatever you wanted it to be. But if you want it to be recognizable, you
Yeah.
want the color of the fleece to try and lead you down that. Um, and I also think, depending on how good you are, so I mean, she didn't do it this way, but one way would have been, if you want to do an octopus, is just to make long tubes and then you cut them in half. And, that would
Oh,
be a very easy, quick way to sew it. Just
yes.
tube, 4 tubes, cut in half, and then the body. And then it starts to become something that's relatively
Yeah.
easy to do. Whereas if you've got 4 quite chunky limbs that need to be different shapes and have to be attached, like you would with a monkey or a bear, then it starts to get a bit. The other thing is, can you do something that is essentially flat, that has a bit of a, for want of a better word, a gusset? So you could make the two halves of the elephant, and then you put the gusset up underneath, so it's almost like a triangular
Okay.
type shape
Yeah.
that you attach. So I think you can do it quite basic, especially when you've got 90 minutes. But I think I would possibly be led by the color of the fleece. Like if I ended up with a green one, I'd be wanting to make a lizard, or
A
I don't know about
frog.
a frog, but you'd want to say something green
Yeah.
to make it just kind of recognizable a bit. And like that was what the octopus was made
Yeah.
out of. And of course, you're used to seeing like these red octopuses and
Yeah.
octopi.
I'm just thinking, would I have done a fish? But then that would be difficult to stand up. But that's got to be really easy. A cartoon, like a fish.
You make it big enough and stuff it full. It doesn't matter, does it?
Let's have a
Put a
quick
couple of fins on the
yeah.
side towards the bottom, and it would stand up.
Let's have a quick flick through all 7 alphabetical order. Adele's pig, instantly recognisable.
I mean, the only thing that I think makes it recognisable is the 2 buttons on the
Yeah.
nose. Otherwise, I would think bear. But this is where you're led by the colour, because pink, yes, pig.
Yes. The trouble is the dungarees kind of stop it from being instantly recognisable.
It leads it down the bear route.
It does.
Because you'd normally see a bear wearing clothes.
Well, well, it would.
That's ridiculous.
I was thinking like the three
But
bears.
you never see a pig.
The three bears and Goldilocks, or the three little pigs.
No, they didn't.
Are they not? But what amazes me, Adele, is how the hell did you make that in 90 minutes? You've not only made a pig, but you've made a pair of dungarees, and as well, it's remarkable.
I can't remember. I'll be getting another slipper thrown at me at this rate. I can't remember, but looking at that, it almost looks like she's drawn round the outside and done it too and just sewn it together.
Yes.
Rather than making lots of separate limbs and trying to attach.
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
That's how I would.
I might be wrong, but it looks like it's just flat stuffed.
We've got Anna's octopus, which as soon as I saw her with that stuff from the haberdashery, I just wow, that's clever.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Ingenious, Anna. And as Patrick said, everything about it just works. The proportion here of the eye and the cool, simple little mouth. People will pay a lot of money for that. That could be like the next John Lewis Christmas advert, and the toy being branded across the whole UK.
Okay.
Beth's
stuff of nightmares, that one.
It's so clever.
I mean,
that teddy bear fleece.
She was trying to do. You can see what she was trying to do. But if I rolled over in my cot and saw that, I might scream the place down.
Did the head need to be bigger in proportion, or actually does it?
It needed to be rounder.
Oh, Beth, I hope you're laughing with us because but it works. The limbs work because they would go.
To be fair, no, that's exactly what yeah. But yeah, those limbs, you look at it and go, "Oh, it's a monkey from Chernobyl." But that's it's a monkey.
Yes, yeah, it makes.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
It makes up for that. I can't push the buttons. Emma.
Oh no! See, this is what I would have done. That's what I meant when I said green. I'd have gone dinosaur.
Why? Why is green dinosaur?
I could have made a frog.
I'm sorry. I can't help but see this dinosaur doing a Fonz on it. Can you remember the Fonz when he would go on his toes? And is that Fonz or was that Shakin' Stevens?
I'd just like to point out to everyone that we've not been drinking.
Is the dinosaur doing a Shakin' Stevens? I think he is.
The only thing I would say about this is I feel that the head was slightly out of proportion, but I love the felt
genius
scales along the back.
Yeah,
and that's what, again, if you're wanting it to be instantly recognisable, then that's what does it. I don't know if I could make a frog look recognisable, but certainly a lizard or a dinosaur, something green, you could see that work.
When you look at this leg, Emma, if you could let us know, this leg is perfect.
That leg.
How did we get to a Shakin' Stevens leg? What was going on there with it? Or was it kneeling down? It's
kneeling down to go for a drink. It's gone down.
Oh dear. Right, next we have Heather. It's delightfully cute. I love it that the eyes are on her, as we say. And because he's like this. Hello, everybody. What's his name from On the Buses? I think he's beautiful.
You know what?
His floppy ears.
It was fine. It's just the trunk doesn't seem to work.
No.
It was almost as if it was an afterthought, and then it doesn't really do anything.
It just needed to be like that. It needs to be much smaller. Because it actually
Oh my
looks
God.
like poor old Captain Hook's hook has been moved somewhere else. But I love the googly eyes there. And
I love the ears, the use of the felt, and
yeah,
the fact that they're all big and floppy. That's exactly, again, recognizable as an elephant if you
yeah.
weren't quite sure from
Well,
the trunk.
close to looking like Eeyore, like a donkey, really. But there we go. Now, Minnie's teddy bear. Was Minnie's teddy... Because I've been crying. Was Minnie's
I have
teddy
been crying.
bear overlooked? She was fifth out of seven. Is this not a classy, old-fashioned teddy bear that should have been up in the top three? Or was it outclassed by everyone else's originality?
It's a difficult one because when you think of a stuffed toy, you instantly go to a teddy bear.
Indeed.
And you could, in theory, have made a teddy bear out of any of those fleeces
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter what color a teddy bear is. It can be any color you want it to be. So I wonder if it was because it was too expected,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're
and
right.
that's not fair.
That's not. It's not at all.
Because she could, it comes down to sewing a bit as well. Although I'm guessing you probably haven't got it, but to me, they did a shot from behind and it looks like she's pulled the head back and it was all sewn so you could see it at the back of the head. And I wonder
Oh,
if that was part of it because you should do it so that it's hidden
yeah.
in the neck. And it looked like she'd pulled it from behind
Ah,
and the seam was down the back. So it could have been on a
okay.
technicality like that. But I love the way she'd use the buttons to put the arms on because again, you got 90 minutes,
Yeah.
so why wouldn't you do that? And then it does make it look like a toy. If you think, if you think, oh, these would be perfect new cast members. Do you remember that TV program, the Raggy
Oh,
Dolls?
I
That
love
was
that.
all the dolls that
Yeah.
were made
Yeah.
incorrectly. This having the buttons there that just
Oh,
reminds you of those sorts of
I
toys.
do
Mind you,
remember
we've
it.
got a whole new cast here with this lot, haven't we?
Had a great theme tune as well. And lastly,
I could probably sing it if you wanted me
oh,
to.
maybe later.
So I can't look at this one.
You can't. Why? I thought this was actually really clever in the concept. It just took a lot of time. It didn't perhaps work out as easy as she thought in her head, maybe.
Just frightened me again. I think it's because, like we said, it's a cuddly toy. It can be made out of anything, but it looked more like a moomin that had been
Yeah.
squashed on the road than a tortoise or a
It
turtle or whatever it was supposed to be.
I can see the concept in her head as she's listening to Patrick
To
talk.
me, to me, it looks like it's slipped out of its shell and it's completely naked. So it's trying to stick a few leaves to get home before it can find a new shell. I have a vision of it kind of
Oh
walking
yes.
down like this,
Ooh.
trying to cover
Oh,
up all its
and with
bits.
that the cartoony sound effect. Blink 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 because it's oh
Oh, we can't do toys again because this is just ridiculous.
oh dear. Well, Rebecca came seventh because of that. Rebecca's nude turtle. Although actually when you look at it from here, it looks like a pizza topping, doesn't it? Stop, my tummy's hurting. But understandably so. Rebecca was seventh out of all those, and Anna's was top. And I think most people will agree for sure. So there we are. My logic was starting to come true with Rebecca appearing in the edit at the beginning for the pattern challenge. Well, she's now come bottom for the transformation round. So Adele and Rebecca are going in. Well, actually, it's still quite open. It's Emma and Adele, 6th and 7th, then Heather and Rebecca. So it still could be anyone. Beth and Anna continue to keep those top spots. So we're looking at clear finalists maybe already, but who is going to struggle for, the pressure is on them for the made to measure. It could be anyone. And I think they did say that, didn't they, going into this round?
Yeah, and I think we're starting to sound a bit boring. I think, but we've said over and over again that these are good sewers right from the start. It's not been like half and half that we've had. Not too much disrespect to other series, but
Yeah.
there's been a few where you're just like, no, that's the right thing to have happened. these are good, and so you are looking for someone to have a bad week
Yeah.
or a bad make, to just make those little mistakes, because that's what's going to put you the other
Yeah.
side of the middle or the bottom or whatever. Um, and so yeah, it's coming down more and more to that final challenge, because they're they're able to put their own spin on it. They're able to show they can make things fit. And then when they don't fit and they're not quite finished, then that is going to be the target on
Yeah.
your back.
Yeah. So the made to measure, they had to make outfits for 9-year-olds. They had to create a superhero costume with an original name. Okay, so that's great. That means nothing that we've seen before in TV, film, and comics. And it has to have a superhero power, an original superhero power. They were told they could cut all the fabric, the pre-cut fabric, ahead of time, so that will save a lot. And the judges need to be able to understand the power, which I thought was a real tough ask just from looking
That's
at
a big
a
ask.
costume. How are you on earth going to understand a power? You look at Superman, okay, we're not going to understand his power just from looking at him, are we? Well, we.
He's a superman.
Oh,
He's literally
yeah.
stood there like this.
Okay, but we might not know what his power is. We might not know that he can do X-ray vision and he can,
He can't do X-ray vision.
well, whatever that is. What does he do with his eyes? He beam.
Just laser
Oh, that's
things.
it. Yeah, lasers. Yeah. So that I thought was a tough one, and how they were going to try and show that. But I thought it was going to show some wonderful creative ideas, and how they perceived superheroes. So would you? And I was talking with this on Carol on our technique show with you all gathered up. How much do you go down the stereotype? So if you're doing a superhero, would you not just go, let's put a cape on because that already helps to make it look like a superhero straight away? Or like Adele here, do you have the sort of insignia on the front? But there were things to look out for. They only had 3.5 hours for this thing, less than the pattern challenge, which I thought was a bit of a shame because I thought if they had a bit more time, we might have had bigger things.
It's interesting because in the past it's never been overly clear if they've been able to pre-cut and do everything before. The fact that they were allowed to pre-cut a lot of this before it come in, that takes up the time at the start. So if you can sit down and get on with sew, then you've already got the design. You've just got to make it fit, which is obviously the made to measure key criteria. But if you've got it all cut out, then you've only got to tweak it, haven't you? And therefore you can, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've always advocated for them to have more time no matter what they're doing. But the fact of the matter is they all got finished. Now, I think that's because they had a lot of the stuff cut out and ready to go.
If you were on the show and when you were prepping your 10 makes to the producers and you knew this one was going to be pre-cut, would you have perhaps changed your design so it's how am I going to say it? Where you've chosen a design to aid that. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think I might have made it a bit more ambitious, knowing that I didn't have to spend an hour cutting it out. I'd still obviously want to make sure that it was something that I could sew together. But if you know that you haven't got to cut out all of those fronds on there, or we had the flames on Anna's one and stuff like that. If you know you haven't got to do all that, and that takes a long time, then I might go, well, I'll push the boat out because this is all pre-cut and I've just got to throw it together.
Well, let's go through alphabetical as well. The 7, there's Adele's. I was blown over by this. I thought every aspect just worked, didn't it? Look at that fab mask, the insignia on the front, the cape. I just thought it was great.
But I mean, going back to our original point there, I wouldn't necessarily know what the superpower is. I know this is some sort of B. We have Spider-Man, so we've got B-Girl or whatever this is. But what are B-Girls? Is she going to sting you? I don't know.
It is.
That's what bees are known for.
Well, she did. I have written it down. She did say in her blurb, it's the Sting Blaster, and it's from the wristbands. But
it's the wristband there. Yeah.
But you, this is where the brief is a bit wishy-washy from that point of view. You wouldn't perhaps necessarily know. But if the model then goes, then you could. Esme might, go, oh, I see. But there we
A
are.
bit more literal then, isn't it?
Yes. So that's Adele's. Let's go to Anna's. Anna was a rocket boy, and it would rocket through time and dimensions.
I struggled with this one
Me
because,
too.
again, I don't think it was clear how the superpower is
Yeah.
there. And also, I know that the costume is supposed to be a rocket, but I don't think that's what Rocket Boy would wear. Shouldn't Rocket Boy be more spacemanish? I don't know, with maybe the rocket as his motif. That could have been his cape. Imagine if his cape had been those flames.
Yes.
Something like that. I don't know. I struggled with
I
it, if I'm
did.
being brutally honest.
I understand the cape. I thought it worked, but the cape then made me, because of the stars, for some reason and the hat, it gave me wizard vibes. Maybe that's just me.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. Because does Rocket Boy have to actually look like a rocket? I don't know.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yes.
I would have gone with
Yeah.
like a spaceman type
Yeah.
vibe.
Then we have Beth. Oh, Beth, I was speechless over this. I just loved every aspect of it. It was just
I loved
genius.
I loved the whole outfit, and I think it was exceptionally well made. But to go back to the original criteria, I struggled to understand what that is. I know it's a superhero,
Yeah.
and I love it. I absolutely love it. Do not get me wrong. I love it. But if we're going to say we're given the criteria by... Oh, hello, I've
Oh,
gone.
you've gone. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
If we're given the criteria at the start of, oh, it's got to do this, that, and the other, it's not insanely obvious. I mean, if I'm looking at this, I'm going, Lightning Girl? I don't know.
Well, that's
You know
it.
what I mean?
Yes. It was Electra, and the lightning bolt was a motif.
Which I loved it. I absolutely love it. And it is sewn exceptionally
Yeah.
well. I love what Beth is doing. But it's that other bit, which is the bit that you and I always moan about. How do you say that this
Yeah.
is or isn't Electra or Lightning
Yeah.
Girl or Bolt Girl or whatever? It's how do you make that clear? Because it is a costume after all. It's not
That's right.
someone coming on and doing a one-act play.
She's done the brief. She's created an original superhero costume. The hardest bit was to, show the superpower. But maybe it was just to tell the superpower. Maybe that's all they needed to do, and they told us through the course of when we saw the concepts being making in the.
Oh, we absolutely did. So we knew what it was
Yeah.
in that respect. But if you had never seen it and they walked into the
Oh,
room,
yes. Yes, it's not perhaps a classic superhero character.
no, not like the B one we've just seen, where
Yes.
you'd at least go, well, even if you got it slightly wrong, you'd still say
Yeah.
that's B girl. Whereas this, what is this?
But it still works though from that point of view that it's perhaps a superpower suit there, and that the puff of the waistcoat will deflect bullets if it had it still
No,
has
and I
superhero
absolutely-
vibes, doesn't it? But it's not
But this is-
what we
I mean-
perceive as stereotypical.
No, but if you want to throw a slipper, you can, because
Oh.
the issue is not over the. Because, like I said, the sewing here was brilliant and spot on.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is that you should be saying this is B girl, this is Electra, this is Rocket Boy, or whatever, because you were asked for an original. If they were asked to make the Spider-Man outfit or the Superman outfit or the Supergirl outfit, then fine, we understand that it needs to look like that. But these were original superheroes, so I think it is absolutely fair for Beth to be stood there going, "Oh, this is Electra. She shoots."
That's
bolts
it.
from
That's
her
how.
wrist,"
That's
or
what
whatever.
I think.
And I think that's what
Yeah.
should have been done,
Yeah.
rather than making it
Yeah.
part of the criteria. Because if we're going to be sat here objectively looking at it, then that's just a really nice body warmer and
Yeah.
pantsuit. It doesn't scream superhero, but that doesn't make it wrong.
No.
I think it's great, and I think she hit the brief on everything else. And I think you should be allowed to tell your story.
Well said.
In that respect.
I absolutely agree. Good point. Emma next. Zip Kid. Which I giggled over because I think some of my ladies in the WhatsApp group were like, "Oh God, I'd feel well gutted if I was a kid and I had to wear Zip Kid." But I think the interaction would be so cool. Is that me if I was a kid? Zipping it up and down and get my mates to come over and go, "Here, pull this down and have a look where we're going to go." That came out a bit. That came out a bit wrong.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, don't do that, viewers.
Don't go around asking people to loosen your zipper.
Yeah.
I think that was the issue I had.
Oh,
Don't do that
no.
either.
Yeah.
I think that was the issue. I didn't understand why you needed Zip Kid. I could understand why you'd need Space Boy or Rocket Boy and Bee Girl and Electra. I don't understand why we needed the superpower of
Well,
zips.
because Emma is very clever in tying it all into the sewing world. Haberdashery, why not? It's you've got the zips there. Is that you love sewing? That's your
But
concept, isn't it?
but if I'm being chased, I want B girl to sting who's ever chasing me. I don't want someone to go, oh, let's have a look down in my zip and pull it open.
Well, who was it? Who was this kid that had his bag and he pulled things out of it? Could he go into Sport
Oh, then
Billy?
what?
Sport Billy. Could you go into his
What?
bag? So could you? Because obviously Zip Kid can't go into his own zip. It's his mates that's going into the zip, isn't it? So we'll just move on. Yeah. Okay. Heather next.
Just get rid of the picture.
A
Now,
shapeshifter animal turns into different animals to get wherever you want to get to.
I just feel I'd rather she concentrated on one.
Yes. Or I don't know whether the main bodysuit was too stereotypically space or magical. Did it?
But it
Well,
was
yeah,
too
magic did.
plain for it then. I mean, I know it
Yes.
was probably plain to highlight the fact that the other
Can
animals were in
shapeshift.
various places. But I would have rather she just focused on one. I mean, think like Thundercats. Think
Yeah.
of just being, one of those,
Yeah.
like, what were they,
Chitara.
Lino and
Yeah.
Chitara and Panther.
Yeah.
Just turn it into a superhero that can do that sort of thing. I understand the concept, but again, this is where she had to explain throughout her
Yeah.
make. Oh, well, it's got the shark so they can swim, and it's got the butterfly so it can fly, and it's got the agility of the monkey. I get it. I absolutely get it. But I think again, if I got this in the drawer for
Yeah.
a fancy dress, I don't know if I'd want it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be Shark Boy or Monkey Boy or whatever rather than Chimera
What?
crawling out of Chernobyl.
You want to be
Okay.
monkey boy like Bess? Monkey. Oh dear. I'll remember that. Next, Minnie. Now, okay.
Now,
Do you want to start or shall I? No, you start.
no, you go, and I'll wait and see if you're right.
Maybe this is where the slipper is thrown for both of us then. Their task was to create a superhero with an original name and a superhero power. As we all do, we draw from our youth and our experience and our cultures of where we live and have experienced. This was her superhero. It was Cat Girl who can talk to cats. That's a superhero. Just because it hasn't got a cape or that classic Superman insignia, the stereotype that we perceive here in the West, I just felt she was perhaps harshly judged on this. So that's where I would throw a slipper because that's her superhero for what she's chosen. Again, it comes down to the brief, but carry on.
Well, yeah, and I kind of intimated the same thing on Tuesday. I said this is what the Lewis problem from a couple of weeks back with him. This was a fantastic piece of sewing. She'd used the neoprene, she'd made the black top, she'd got the construction from the fabric, was able to hold all those
Yeah,
pleats and everything like that.
exquisite.
From a sewing and construction point of view, flawless
Yeah,
garment. You can't criticize it from the sewing point of view. The brief asked for, although it was an original, but it still needed to be recognizable superhero and their powers. This is just someone dressed up very prettily as a cat with no obvious superpower. And it's not even obvious when I mean, I know this is a children's outfit, but when you think of Catwoman, you think of the cat suit with the cat ears and the tail. Well, this isn't that far. This is just not a figure hugging cat suit because it's a child
yeah,
and it's not Michelle Pfeiffer. But it was not obvious that this was a superhero. But you're also correct in that in her eyes it was, so she made it. But it's that thing again where these are the ones you can plan, and objectively, should somebody else have looked at that and gone, does that really fit the brief? Because
yes,
I feel that she went out more to do with not fitting the brief rather than not being a good sew,
Yeah.
which is what happened to Lewis when he made that coat thing and it was
And
all.
and if you're going to go out for not fitting the
I
brief.
mean, go out on something, yeah,
Yeah.
but go out on that because this, like I
Yes.
said, it was a brilliant garment, brilliant bit of sewing.
Look at
You
that.
can't sit here and go,
No.
well, she deserved to go out because her hem was all wonky and the sleeve was falling off and everything like that. This was brilliant.
Yes.
And she got it down pat in time. I just feel it didn't fit the brief and therefore it gave them what they
It
needed
did.
to. Now, to be fair, when I predicted at 8 minutes past that it was going to be Minnie, I didn't think it was going to be because she didn't meet the
Yeah.
brief. I thought she was going to struggle, but she didn't at all. And I think it is just a case of it didn't quite fit the brief against six other very good
Well, it's
sewers.
what Minnie had to. Even though Cat can talk to cats, Minnie should have perhaps gone. That's perhaps not going to be very overt to the judges.
But
Maybe I should make up another, like the wristlets of the bee going sting, 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 sting. Maybe Minnie should have gone. Maybe I'll just tag something on, and this girl
but what would you do?
can climb up walls because she's got fab paws or something. I don't know. That would have helped, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
maybe something like that. But also, like if you think of Catwoman in Batman as well,
Yeah,
she was just surrounded by cats and she could do a lot of gymnastics. It wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't a superpower because technically Batman is not a superhero, is he? Because he's just a man in a suit, whereas Superman is an alien form who's come down to save us all. So it was that kind of it was giving off those vibes, and I think it wasn't enough to just say, "Oh, I can speak to cats."
If
Because I can speak to cats and they seem to understand me quite well.
if there was a cape rather than that bow, would that have helped? And if the mouse design on the front, which I'm sorry, Minnie, I didn't know it was a mouse design. I thought it was a
That was a
tongue. I
mouse.
thought it was the. I thought that's the tongue sticking out. The cat licking its milk. I thought.
Or talking, because she can talk to cats, maybe.
Did it not need to
That's what
have?
I thought it was.
Did it not need to have more pronounced like that? It's too
Oh, you
stylized.
mean
It's
the
just
motif?
too cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there we are. So that was Minnie, and then we have lastly Rebecca with the treble maker. Original, clever. Everything about this just clever. Brief, make.
Although I would say Troublemaker makes it sound more like a super villain than a superhero. I feel that we would be fighting the Troublemaker rather than the Troublemaker saving us.
Well, I suppose she's making everyone dance, isn't she? So she's.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a very nice,
But
but
you're
I'm
right.
just being
Yeah,
pedantic over this because once again, it was just a brilliant
yeah.
concept, a brilliant name, and that was the thing. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with B Girl or
No,
Rocket
no.
Boy, but this actually, she'd thought about the name, and while I do feel it leans more super villain than superhero, it doesn't matter. It's the whole outfit, and everything was there, so you understood what she's got it literally plastered on the front as well.
Yeah.
It just gave that kind of understanding a little bit more.
It's the concept. Let's talk about that as in itself, though. The sewing,
Yeah.
the pleats of the white skirt, them layering the black over to get the actual piano.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's thought out. She's had a nice evening, when she was coming up with this brief, coming up with everything about it, and it's just yes. There we go. So after seeing all those seven, are we putting Adele in the bottom? Are we putting Emma in the bottom? Are we putting, Rebecca's definitely not. So she's moved out. So it was looking like it was going to be Minnie, wasn't it? And
I think it shifted throughout the program, which on the one hand, it does make it quite good because do you want to be able to say at 8 minutes past that
no,
person's going? Because then there's no point watching
no,
it. But I think what was good is it shifted around, between each of the rounds. Even the judges were saying, well, they had a good first round, but then not so good second round, but then they were at the bottom and then they went to the top and then they've
yeah,
redeemed themselves. And the fact that you've got that instead of just having, I mean, I think we've got Beth and Anna fairly
oh yeah,
consistently at
yeah,
the top. But then I think, like I said, Anna's Rocket Boy that dropped down this time because I didn't think it worked that well. And there's nothing wrong with that
no,
because Anna's had a good couple of weeks as well. But yeah, at the top you've probably got those, and then everyone else is swimming around and having a
Yeah.
good bad make, not necessarily a good or bad week. And like I said, I think Minnie was struck by the fact that it didn't quite fit the brief. Now,
Yeah.
if you work on the assumption that Minnie had made the perfect Catwoman outfit, right? Who would you have sent home? Let's say hers was very clear and the brief was very clear. Who would you and assuming that it's always, based on the last
Oh,
made to
well,
measure.
it would have been Emma. It would have been Zip Kid.
Oh, I thought you loved Zip.
Well, I did, but when it comes down to the fit, it's still nothing against
Yeah.
Beth's or but Beth's, Rebecca's. The fit still isn't there. It was off the shoulders.
But,
It was out of proportion.
yeah.
So I would have thought, yeah,
There's a toss up between her and then controversially, after what I've just said, I didn't understand Anna's. And that with
yes,
the cape,
yeah,
we've said before, you have a bad
yeah,
week
yeah.
and you could have
That's
been the
right.
best sewer for
Yeah,
5 weeks and you have a bad week. If Minnie had, and we're assuming it is the brief that was the problem, but if Minnie had met the brief and it was a fantastic bit of sewing with the neoprene and everything like that, you then say, well, out of those that you'd seen, and then that changes
yeah,
everything because potentially you are then looking at Anna and Emma
yeah,
towards the bottom because of the way, like on hers, it was the fact that the cape was pulling
yeah,
everything
yeah,
back as well, and that he was missing the thing in the
yeah,
porthole. He said he'd write something. So then you start going, well, that, and that also shows how good these
yeah.
sewers are,
Absolutely.
and the fact that that could have changed on a sixpence like that
Yeah.
if Minnie had. I feel if Minnie had met the brief a bit better
But
because the sewing was flawless.
Ting said it all, Minnie. Sad to see you go, but that's our discussion on that, and we can kind of understand where they were coming from. Garment of the week
Oh, you remembered.
was Rebecca with Garment of the
It
Week.
had to be. It had to be.
Yes, maybe Electra, but I don't know. I don't know.
I
Go
think
on.
I think that you're right. I think you've got Electra and
Yeah.
Troublemaker up there, but because of the story
Yes.
that we had with him, this was a
Yeah.
lot more obvious to look
Yeah.
at. Because again, flawless sewing for
Yeah.
Electra, but that could have just been a nice 1980s branded roller disco outfit. You wouldn't necessarily know that that was
Yeah.
superhero, where this screams superhero as
Totally
well.
get it. Great analysis. So, where are we with Garment of the Week wins, which we missed off? And I know many of
Well,
you loved seeing this. Here we go. So, there we are. Week 6, we can now start to see how spread out it is. Last series, Kit's face there was appearing, I think, the 6th time out of, 5 times out of 6 weeks. He'd won so many. Whereas clearly, this is anyone's game still, isn't it?
and it shows the standard of the
Yeah,
sewers. The fact that you've got, I mean, I know Anna's got two there, but you've got Rebecca and Emma and
yeah,
Adele and Heather there as well.
yeah.
And you've got the ability for the others to be there as well. They've produced some good garments.
For Kids Week, that's not bad. One slipper, that's all.
Well, maybe another one because we
Oh,
talked about the one earlier
oh,
on, a
okay.
bit later on, didn't we? So it might have got to
Let's have
two.
that to 2. Oh,
Really want to.
missed my graphics up now. Wonderful. Oh, I love it. I love it. We had a giggle. We had a real giggle.
Oh, look, and the sun's come
Oh,
out. Look, it's been raining all day. Look, you can see on my shoulder, on the other
I've had
shoulder.
an ab workout.
Oh, have you?
And my cheeks hurt from all that laughing. Viewers, I hope you enjoyed laughing along with us. Giggles, all fun. So thanks for that.
I think we could do that with soft animals. I think it's a bit harder when you're just looking at a dress
Yeah.
or something, but those animals, yeah.
Next week, it's Music Week, so expect Madonna-inspired cone bras, outfits for a pop trio, and disco decadence in the made-to-measure.
Maybe the treble maker will be back.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Enjoyed it. As always, keep the comments coming. It's great. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? I hope you did. Ting, I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Cheery bye.